All right, Sean brought over a few more. Here's that alternate Pathfinder one, D&D 3, and I don't know what this one is, but that's awesome. So yeah, lots and lots of GM screens. We're gonna flip them over and talk about what I like and what I don't like about the GM screens in general, and specifically this one. All right, D&D 4, this is the screen. Love the art. I like that it's very bright. That's kind of a change for a lot of screens. So when we flip it over, we find a bunch about experience points and attack roll modifiers, exploration, damage by level, monster knowledge. Something that's common throughout all the Dungeons & Dragons stuff is DCs to break and burst common items. So all of the actions, all the standard actions, move, minor, immediate opportunity, free actions, a whole bunch about that on this page. Then there's difficulty classes, DCs for all of the common skills, and then a lot about conditions. Those used to be a big deal. Death and dying, healing characters, how that works. Pretty well laid out, and just by looking at it, it's a lot of information. Now, D&D next. Here it is. I like the bright orange stuff. Kind of harkens back to an earlier day of Dungeons & Dragons. But I don't like this screen at all. Here's NPC characteristics, NPC ideals, NPC bonds, NPC flaws, name generator, and then a page and a half about the conditions with a nice little drawing that I think is pretty cool, but it takes up a ton of space. Cover, obscured areas, skills and other abilities, traveling, encounter distance. If something random happens, you roll a d20 and there it is. Like on a 1, a door opens. On a 2, a fire starts. On a 3, a meteor shoots across the sky. On a 4, a monster appears. And then quick finds, like you find on a d12, artwork, a body, food or drink, jewelry, a key, a letter. So if you're exploring a dungeon, you know, and you find something in a chest, or there's a door that you happen to break down, then that would be there. But everything that's on here, with the exception of cover and some skills and what they go under, and then a little tiny box about setting a DC. All of this should have been done by the DM before the session starts. And there are innumerable websites and PDFs and books and all kinds of stuff that tells you all of these things and gives you tables and random charts. I got stuff on my phone and on my computer that does this for me so quickly and so easily. And if I'm following a published adventure, all of this has already been thought out. So I think that there was a real opportunity that was missed here. Usually the screens are really useful and really handy. This one just isn't. It looks great, and I am going to use this one. But in the newest iteration of Dungeons & Dragons, there's a ton of emphasis placed on story, specifically the characters' backstories, where these people come from and what their motivations are. Now I like that generally, but I think the way that it's presented has a tendency to bog down the game significantly. And in fact, the game pretty much is Pathfinder, or like 3.5 with a whole bunch of fixes. And so there's a couple changes that are significant with, you know, rolling more than one die, but overall I think this is a real missed opportunity to make a very usable screen and something that is of value and of worth to a DM while they're playing the game. This is the Pathfinder screen, and this is one of my favorites. There is a ton of really good and useful information on here, ranging from skills, and well, it gives you actually most of the skills and what attribute it falls under. A whole bunch of stuff about perception, a little bit about combat. On the bottom of this page is the different conditions that commonly happen in Pathfinder, and let's see if we can focus this a little better. Then more about combat. A little bit about hit points and how hard things are, like glass, paper, rope, ice, stuff like that. And then some common items, some magic stuff, a little bit about experience. But generally, I find that in Pathfinder, this stuff is pretty useful. This is a little bit more archaic Dungeons & Dragons. I believe this is 3.5. There's experience, damage by level, food, drink, and lodging, what things cost per day, light sources, monster knowledge, a whole bunch of combat actions, how those work, different attack modifiers, difficulty for breaking common items, and then DCs by level, a whole bunch of skills, and then more combat stuff right there, how cover works, concealment, and then all of the conditions, and then how death and dying works. Again, this is another fairly useful screen, and I like it. It's well laid out, and it's relatively easy to find stuff. Alright, this is the screen for Dark Heresy, and you can tell a lot about the game by what's included here. Hit locations, falling damage, critical tables, ranged weapons, cover, weapon craftsmanship, combat actions, weapon special qualities, melee weapons, weapon jams, 2-weapon fighting, damage, fatigue, stunned, lightly wounded, heavily wounded, combat difficulty, semi-auto, full auto, overwatch, suppressive fire, pinning, armor, and a little bit about movement and scatter for grenades and stuff. Can you tell what Dark Heresy is all about? Yeah, weapons. Still, in that Dark Heresy universe, weapons are pretty much everything, and this has just about everything that you need to know about most of the weapons in the game. It's very well laid out, it's easy to find stuff, tons of great information. Don't know exactly what version this is for, but when we flip them over, color-coded information. So balance checks, balance check DCs, concentration, bluff, concentration, listen, escape artists, a whole bunch of different tables, stuff about combat, spells, different actions, creature sizes, turning undead, that's great, access to spells for different levels of characters and character classes, sizes, hardness, substances, common weapons and what they do, how they work, a little bit about opposed checks, example, door DCs, and yeah, basically general stuff needed by Dungeons & Dragons. Looks good, and I like it. A lot of information. One of the things that I do, and I learned this from Sean, is I will usually cut my screens down the center. It gives me a way to still look at the players so I don't feel too claustrophobic, like I'm hiding behind something. And if I'm on a smaller table, it allows me to overlap this a little bit so it doesn't take up so much space, or I can put this kind of on the side and still have room on the rest of the table to do whatever I'm doing. I can also spread them out and still keep things concealed that need to be concealed from the players. I can make my dice rolls behind there if I need to, but also I'm not building a tower for myself. And some people might like that, but personally I like to be able to see the players and interact with them as much as possible, and cutting the screen allows me to do that. So I will still play D&D, don't have anything really negative against the game. It's a great game, good system, flows really well for what it is. I just don't like the screen. I think it's doesn't have very much value as a GM. But I am playing a game with some friends, and we've just started the campaign. As it progresses, I'll bring you updates and I'll show you what I'm doing to play my game of Dungeons & Dragons. Hope you got your inspiration for the day.